Welcome to ZKast, everyone. I'm ZS Caravallo from ZK Research, and I'm here at the AWS Startup Summit. I'm here with Dr. Ruba Borno. Ruba, your job has transitioned a little bit. You've run the partner program for a while, but now you've added the global specialists and as well as partners to your remit. And I want to talk about that a little bit. But first, I want to talk about this event. So this is the first year you've run this event. From what I understand, it's an invite-only event for startups. And so why did AWS decide to add this?
Well, Zias, thank you so much for coming here, for coming to San Francisco to meet with me, meet with some of our partners and some of our team members. So you're right. This is the first time that we are holding a startup partner summit. Startups have been the lifeblood of AWS. Actually, over 280,000 startups build on AWS, build their businesses on AWS. Absolutely. And then also, if you look at PitchBook's top startups of 2023, 80% of the unicorns that PitchBook said were in 2023 build their businesses on AWS. So it is a core customer base for us, but also a core partner base. So the reason that we wanted to create the Startup Partner Summit is to really focus about a holistic 360 relationship with these startups. How do we help them grow their businesses with AWS, not just on AWS? And frankly, I would say this type of an event is long overdue, but it's a chance for me, my leadership team, several peers across AWS to hear directly from these startups about what they need in order to thrive in the industry. I was really proud to put up a slide that showed several unicorns or companies that have grown, that have exited, whether it's IPO or acquisition, that were graduates of the AWS Startup program. And our goal is to help every startup achieve that level of success. And I think that if we leverage a quote that our CEO, Andy Jassy, has said before, which is there's no compression algorithm for experience.
Yeah.
You know, we have those 280,000 startups that we have learned from. We can leverage that to help that next generation. And I think today that's more important than ever because...
And talk about that. We're moving into the AI era. And I think most people would agree that startups are going to play a more important role in innovation moving forward. And do you agree with that? And if so, why is AI so ripe for startups?
I feel like we say this every few years when there's a new technology out there, that the pace of innovation is moving faster than ever before. I think that's absolutely a true statement. It is not overhyped. I mean, with generative AI, we see the pace of innovation moving at incredible speed. And startups are key to that. They're the ones who we're seeing being at the leading edge of that innovation. I'll give you a couple of examples. So in June of 2024, this year, we announced a generative AI startup accelerator. And we have 80 startups in the first cohort of that. And if I look at some of the examples of those startups, one that is really cool is Turbine AI. They're a startup out of Hungary. And they're using Gen AI in order to accelerate cancer cell biology research. Seems like a pretty noble goal. And frankly, we're hearing a lot about healthcare and life sciences using Gen AI. But they're using a completely different way of tackling that particular problem. Now, we also hear that, hey, generative AI uses a lot of energy. And so there's a different startup out of Spain, also another European one called Multiverse Computing. They're actually out of San Sebastian, Spain, so amazing location as well. But they're using quantum algorithms in order to figure out how to make generative AI much more energy efficient, reduce the cost, and then enable more and more startups, more and more companies to innovate on it. So you've got kind of both the supply and the demand side of the equation there, just in 2 startups out of the ones in our accelerator. So it's really incredible to continue to learn and allow more experimentation. I think that's why investing in startups is so important and enabling them to grow, because we actually don't know the ultimate value here that we could be getting in every single industry, all these different use cases. And so by allowing more and more companies to experiment, to thrive, that's when we can see the value. I mean, I would love all of these startups to succeed. I definitely would love the cancer cell biology one to succeed, and also to make it energy efficient for all of us. But we've got to have more and more at-bats.
Yeah, you know, I've drawn parallels that this wave of innovation with AI is similar to what we saw with the birth of the internet. And you think AWS was a startup back then, or Amazon was, right? And so I think similarly, you're going to see economic value created from companies we've never heard of before, and it's great that you're helping them do that. Now, I think I think it was 3 years ago, November 2021, that you were brought into Amazon to help, I guess, transform the partner organization. I'll let you pat your back here a little bit. In that 3-year period, what changes have you made, and what kind of results have you seen?
Yeah, so one of the really exciting things in the past few years is our commitment to the AWS Marketplace. And that's something that I'm really excited to talk about, because we've continued to invest more and more in making the AWS Marketplace the easiest place for customers to procure, to deploy, and to manage their third-party solutions. Why does that matter to our partner ecosystem and our partner network? It's because they can access more customers, so reach more customers. They can be more relevant to customers because our customers can actually draw down on their AWS commitments when spending on the AWS Marketplace for innovation that runs on AWS, and we can help extend their revenue. So I'll give you one example, actually a startup that's here at the Startup Summit, Drata. Drata is a security compliance startup out of San Diego. And they were founded in 2020. So actually just a year before I joined AWS. And in 2022, that was the first time they went live on the AWS Marketplace. And they attribute 40% of their revenue being transacted through the AWS Marketplace. They're getting more access to customers, to the hundreds of thousands of customers who transact on AWS Marketplace. Take another startup in the security space, Orca. They grew on the AWS Marketplace 800% year over year. I mean, those are just incredible numbers. Now, if I look at companies that are larger than startups, if I look at Salesforce, in the last earnings call, they said that they've transacted 3 of their top 10 largest deals through the AWS Marketplace. Or you take MongoDB, where they're self-service. So that means customers where they didn't have a seller speak to them. The customers found them through the AWS Marketplace. That grew 5x. And so that's the type of value that we want to focus on, is making sure that we are allowing customers to discover solutions on the AWS Marketplace. I mean, I will say my vision and my team's vision is to make AWS Marketplace the Amazon.com for B2B IT solutions. That's absolutely our goal. Last year at reInvent, we announced that we reduced our fees to a max of 3%, and then for renewals and large deals, it's even lower than that. Why is that so meaningful? Because it levels the playing field for all of these different companies to be able to transact through this engine. And I will say the fees were significantly higher before that. Yeah. And so since then, we're just seeing so much activity, especially from startups, but also from larger players like Salesforce.
You know, it's interesting. One of the common misunderstandings of the marketplace is I hear this even from your competitors and things sometimes, is that if you have a competing product on the marketplace that's Amazon owned, you'll prefer that. And I've talked to the marketplace, the people that run that, and even some of the vendors on the marketplace, and that is not the case at all, right?
Absolutely not. Yeah. And I'd love to give you a couple of examples. I mean, if we look at Snowflake, for example, Snowflake is one of our largest partners. I mean, they are well over 80% of their revenue goes through AWS, is with AWS. They sell through Marketplace in an amazing way. And they put out multiple press releases saying that AWS has figured out how to do co-sell and joint partnership and go-to-market, even when there are similar products. So Snowflake has a product that directly competes or overlaps with one of the AWS native services. But our field is customer obsessed. We work backwards from the customer, and we know how to partner in a way where we are maintaining the integrity of the transaction, maintaining the integrity of the relationship with the customer. I will say at AWS, we are absolutely long-term focused, and one of our leadership principles is earns trust. And I would say in the partner organization and in the sales organization, that's the number one leadership principle. I'm not going out on a limb by saying that. It's customer obsession and earns trust, because without trust, it's hard to have a long-term business. And so we think of our partner business is a long-term business, and we want to build strong relationships with these companies long-term. So if you think about some of the startups here, for example, at this startup summit, we had one of the president at Glean, which has released this amazing solution for generative AI business insights. They're really excited about partnering with AWS, even though they have some solutions that could potentially, may or may not overlap with a native service, but I think this is something we definitely hold to heart. We want to offer customers choice, and we've got to do that in a trusted fashion.
Yeah, from an outside observer, I actually think it makes your product teams sharper, because they know if they're not the best product in the marketplace, customers will go with something else, right? And so, to me, everybody wins by having that kind of attitude. So
I think we believe that the customer wins.
Yeah.
When there's great availability of innovation for them, the customer wins. That's why we're really proud of having the largest cloud native partner network out there, because by offering customers choice across multiple dimensions, they win. They will get the best solution because there's multiple out there. We don't try to lock them into one specific solution.
Yeah, so now let's talk about your new role. You were head of partners, but now you have global specialists. What are those, and what does that entail?
Yeah, so I joined AWS leading the AWS Partner Organization. We also include the AWS Marketplace there to transact with third-party solutions. And most recently, my team has expanded to include the AWS specialists, who are responsible for our end-to-end go-to-market strategy, technology domain by technology domain. So think generative AI, go-to-market, end-to-end. You know, where's the demand? What are the offers that we need to take to market? Who are the partners that we need to work with to scale? And then what are the customer segments that they best apply to? It's great because these are the folks that are such deep technical experts that, you know, you go in front of a customer and their number one job is to make sure that they're advising the customer on the best technical solution for them. And so it's great to be leading a team of these super deep technical experts. As an engineer by heart, that's kind of where I like to noodle and spend time as well. But these folks go really deep on all of our services and also in the industry more broadly. And
then what's the coming together of partners plus this group, the point of commonality where it makes sense to have a common leadership?
Yeah, if you look at our most recent strategic priorities and the product launches that AWS has had, whether it's security or generative AI, and I'll take generative AI just because it's what everybody wants to talk about these days.
Everybody talks about that, yeah.
Look at Amazon Q, which is this great product that has to date over 40 different connectors to other partners. Why? Because the customer wants insights using RAG and other methodology to be able to get data in real time from different sources of data and then expose it to them in an insightful way. That is a partner-led product strategy. And if you look at Bedrock, same thing. Bedrock is this managed service that allows customers to be able to access different foundation models, different LLMs that are fit for purpose. So this LLM maybe is trained on, specifically for visualization, or this one's trained for certain language processing, or this one's trained on a data set that's internal, but being able to select a different one. Again, it's partner-led. We have multiple partners to date exposed through Bedrock. You've heard of Anthropic, AI21, Stability AI, Meta's Llama LLM. It's just really, and Mistral, the list goes on, providing customers choice. So if you look at the best way for us to solve our customers' problems is to work with partners. And so it makes sense to have our specialists also think more expansively about partners.
Yeah, that does make sense. And last question, and since we're at the Startup Summit, I'll wrap it up with startups. What have you seen as being some of the key motions for startups to help them grow and scale?
It's incredible that is the number one thing that our startups focus on. They say, we want speed. We want speed and we want growth. And not to continue to repeat on the AWS Marketplace, but I would say that has been a game changer on unlocking growth for a lot of startups.
Because of the exposure.
Because of the exposure, but also it's a way where they can programmatically scale, reach customers, be able to transact in a seamless way with the customer. They're able to go through procurement much more easily with a large set of enterprise customers. But being able to work with the AWS Marketplace, work with their partner development manager to make sure that they've got the right product market fit as well with AWS. But I would say number one, and I just came out of a roundtable with a pretty diverse group of startups. They were all singing the praises of the AWS Marketplace, and actually, funny enough, they told me we should be charging higher fees, and I was like, whoa, folks, we just lowered the fees, so let's just stick with that for a moment. But because of the value that it gave them in reaching new customers, now I will say, for them to succeed, they've also got to run it like a business. So I say that it's not one of those things where if you build it, they will come. You don't just put it on a shelf and it gets bought. There are some success factors that the companies need to think through of running AWS like they do, running their AWS business like they do any other key strategic partnership, any key channel. And I think that there's some really good practices that the teams have learned from the startups that we spoke with. Absolutely running it like a business and tracking your AWS business is something that they've all got to think through. And we've helped many succeed, the 280,000 in the past 18 years. I want to see another 280,000.
That's a pretty long track record there. So, and what I like about the marketplace, it's not just a place you put your product. It is all those other tools to help you track the business, sell, market, things like that. So it's a full turnkey way to grow the business, not just somewhere where you put the product.
Yep.
Yeah. So, all right. Anything else we want to add?
I just really appreciate the time and us being here, and really excited about the opportunity to meet with various startups. It is actually one of our top focuses for the coming year is how do we make sure that we're helping those that next wave of unicorns.
Yeah, all right. Well, AWS coming to a startup near you, right?
Thank you, Zeus.
So on behalf of Dr. Ruba Borno, I'm Zeus Caravallo from ZK Research, and thanks for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time on the next episode of ZKast.